A day of action's been taking place at railway stations across the region in protest at the rising cost of train fares.
There'll be a greater than expected hike in ticket prices in the new year. They're going up by an average 6.2%. Here's Kath Mackey.
Rail services are under attack. At least that was what unions and transport campaigners were telling commuters at Birmingham's New Street station.
They always talk about austerity. It's austerity for the passengers. It's not austerity for the train operating companies who are able to make massive profits. These fare rises are atrocious.
And with news that rail fares are going up, it was hard to find a passenger who disagreed.
It's starting to become almost impossible to travel by rail.
I think it's a bit cheeky. I think they already get quite a big subsidy off the government.
The payment of this sort of stuff's got to come from somewhere, so I'm actually OK with it, to be honest.
To fund improvements to the railway, the government's told train operators they can increase fares by 3% above today's RPI inflation figure of 3.2%, meaning on average fares could rise by 6.2%. To give you a few examples, if you were to just turn up and get a peak time ticket from Birmingham to London, it currently costs £158. That could go up by £9.80. Worcester to Birmingham currently costs £14.30. On top of that, you could pay an extra 89p. And Leamington Spa to Solihull currently costs £6.90. That could become £7.33.
We need to get the cost of running the railways down. We've published a reform plan to deliver £3.5 billion worth of efficiency savings. Once we've delivered those savings, we believe that we can see an end of above inflation fare rises.
We don't know yet which routes will face the biggest hike in fares. London Midland told us their fares are set in line with government policy. We will now be carefully considering the implications and planning for fare changes in January. Needless to say, passenger groups will be lobbying hard.
We have a strong case here. In the wake of the petrol tax reduction, then I think we really can make a very good case. And anyway, the way the system is run is not effective. You know, it's costing taxpayers money, it costs fare payers money. It can't go on in this way.
But it could be a very long journey for passengers before things change. Kath Mackey, BBC Midlands Today, Birmingham.
Well, earlier I spoke to Thomas Abelman, the commercial director at Chiltern Railways, and I began by asking him whether it was fair to ask passengers to pay more.
Some passengers will be paying more as a result of today's announcement. Fares are going up for commuters on season tickets by about 6.2%, and that's a level that's determined by government on the basis of plus 3% on RPI formula. So that's something that's outside the control of train operators. But there are many fares that aren't regulated, and this does not affect unregulated fares. So, for example, between Birmingham and London, we offer fares from £6 between Birmingham and London. Those fares sit outside fares regulation and exist because train operators want to create prices that attract people onto rail travel. So while I understand at a difficult time, while this feels like a big increase for people, there are a lot more train fares than just regulated fares.
I'm sure you'd be the first person to agree that the Chiltern passenger experience is hardly perfect. You know, drivers not turning up for their shifts, signalling delays. What guarantees can you give today that if people do pay more, as they're going to have to pay more for their tickets, that experience will improve?
We've made unprecedented investments in the Chiltern Railways network over the last 2 years. We've got completely new infrastructure and new signalling. We've reduced journey times to London by 20% with fastest trains of just 90 minutes. And we're in the process of introducing extremely high quality new trains with free Wi-Fi for all passengers, with more table seating than we've ever had before. So we are constantly investing in improved services. The regulated fare increase that's been announced is being used by government to invest more widely in the rail industry, and you saw some of the announcements made in Birmingham a few weeks ago about how that money will be used. But on the Chiltern network specifically, that investment has already been made by Chiltern Railways, particularly because we want to attract more people to rail travel.
OK, Mr Abelman, thank you very much.
An international arrest warrant's been issued